to the 13th Sign podcast. I'm your host, Elise, and I'm here with Billy.
Yes,
as
always.
Yeah. We're actually in a different studio this time. We're not in our car.
Yeah, we're not in our car, and we're not in Elise's old apartment. We actually have a dedicated room now.
Yeah, we're professional. We have a real studio.
It's just not microphones yet.
Yeah.
Microphones will be coming soon, hopefully.
Yes, we're getting there, one step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
We're
if you want to sign up to our Patreon.
It doesn't exist yet.
It doesn't exist yet.
If you want to just send us some money, that's also fine.
Yeah.
DM me, I'll give you my bank details.
Yeah, we need an Amazon wish list.
Totally.
Yeah.
It would just be all the astrology books.
Yeah, and microphones.
Yeah, and a microphone, and yeah. Anyways, today we're going to be going through the houses.
This is the third one in our educational ones. Yeah. We did the signs, and then we did the planets, and now we're going through the houses. So hopefully after this episode, if you haven't already, you'll be able to fully understand your own chart. Fingers crossed.
Maybe not fully,
but to some degree.
Good one.
Yeah.
We'll go on to degrees in a future episode, if you don't know what that means.
But first, you want to do a little catch up? How have you been?
Pretty good. Just settling into the new place, doing up the studio, which looks pretty cute and comfy. We're like on pillows, on the floor.
Very Taurus vibes.
So hot today in Australia. It's disgusting.
We've just got a fan on us. Hopefully you can't hear the fan. But
yeah.
I refuse to turn it off.
Yeah, we were going to turn it off, but I was like, I'm going to get angry like 2 minutes into the podcast. Because when I get hot, I get really frustrated. It's like that hangry feeling. When you're like hangry, you're like just so annoyed. But it's like, I'm like that when I'm hot. I'm hangry as well, but like...
You are a Taurus.
I am a Taurus, yeah. When it's cold, I get super hypo, but when it's hot, I'm just like, leave me alone.
Yeah, well,
I will kill you.
When it's cold, you get hypo because you need to run around and do things to warm up.
Totally.
But just so you understand the vibe of today's episode, it's being filmed while both the sun and the moon are in Scorpio, so it's going to be a very, very Scorpio vibe today.
We're probably going to get emotional.
Hopefully not.
But like not super emotional, but like hinting emotional.
Yeah,
but
you won't be able to pick up on it.
Yeah.
It'll just be subtle emotions.
How are you, Billy?
I've been good. I'm interested to see how my emotions go with the moon being in a water sign again. Being pregnant and having the moon in a water sign is just a struggle bus. I much prefer it when it's in an earth or an air or a fire sign.
Any other sign.
Any other sign. Because, you know, the trouble is it goes from a water sign into a fire sign. So it can be quite emotional, and then it just turns into anger and frustration very quickly if I haven't dealt with all of the emotions that I was feeling when I was in that water sign. So I go from like crying to having a very, very short fuse. So I like for that to finish, and then I'll just go chill out in my air sign and then my earth sign, and then it starts.
All right. So as we've said before, your chart looks like a pizza
or a pie or a cake.
It's divided into 12 equal slices of deliciousness. So your chart starts off at your ascendant. So that's also your rising sign, if you've heard that being thrown around. That's where your chart starts, basically.
Mm-hmm. And that's depicted off of your time of birth.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't know your time of birth and you're using whole sign charts to figure it out, then it would start off with your ascendant's always your sun sign when you use whole sign.
Yeah. That's why, it's super important to have your time, because I had an instance the other day where I was doing my friend's chart. Shout out to Kezia. She hasn't listened to the episodes yet because her phone's broken, but she's going to love it when she does. Anyways, like I've known her my whole life, and she gave me, I just wrote in her information because I know all of her information except for her time. Anyway, so I was waiting for the time, and I was looking at her chart, and I was like, no. This isn't her chart.
Yeah.
Like, she's got to be born in the afternoon or something like that. And then I can't remember what time it was, but like 5-10 minutes later, she gave me her time of birth, and I was like, yep, that's better, because everything moved from like being in like the first, second house or whatever to and the 12th to the 4th, 5th, and 6th, and that's like just so her.
Yeah.
Like 100% her. She's just like family, homebody, just like routines of the day.
And
you
she's
know.
the one that has the 2 kids.
Yeah, she's got 2 gorgeous little girls.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, as soon as I saw her chart the actual time, I was like, oh, this is so Kezia. Like,
It's so wild because we literally thought we knew everything about astrology.
did we?
Well,
We thought we had a good.
we thought we had a pretty good understanding, and we knew nothing about houses. Unless you know the houses, you don't know what lights up that certain thing. Like, for example, my husband is an Aries moon. If you know him, an Aries moon, like if you know him personally, an Aries moon just doesn't really make sense. Like it's kind of confusing because he doesn't seem that hot-headed.
He's very chill.
He's so
like,
calm all the time.
Yeah.
Like whenever we're having an argument or whatever, he always remains really, really level-headed. Doesn't like he's just
he doesn't seem like an Aries moon. You know, he doesn't like
he's-
get angry or lash out or have a fiery
and
temper.
he doesn't make like decisions personally. Like with relationships and stuff, he doesn't make decisions quickly or anything. Like he's very stable. But his moon is in the 10th, which we'll go into what the 10th house and everything means. But as soon as I understood houses and understood what that meant, it just made it make complete sense.
Yeah.
So like I feel like it's like another layer where you can add it into your repertoire of knowledge, and it's like even if something doesn't, like even if you're like, oh well maybe I don't believe in astrology because that doesn't really line up with me, you just look into it deeper and deeper, and then it gets more and more specific and then more and more accurate and all of that type of stuff. So it's really interesting.
Yeah, so as we said, it starts off with your ascendant. If you're using Placidus.
We personally use Placidus for everyone that we know their birth time, and then everyone that we don't know their birth time we use whole sign. But there is people that just use whole sign strictly, and so it's up to you whether you want to incorporate the specific birth time or not.
Yeah. It makes sense because it's like, okay, your rising sign, your ascendant, it's the first thing you see. You know, when you meet someone, you're like, oh, you know, they're really loud and obnoxious. So this is maybe a Leo or maybe a Aries or whatever. And then it's sort of you go into the chart and you sort of get to know like the surface layers and then into like their different layers of the onion.
Yeah, so there's 12 houses, 12 signs of the zodiac. First house, like the first sign of the zodiac, they're very similar, so it can often be like represented in Aries. So it's like if you have an ascendant in Aries, your whole chart is pretty much like where in the house that it's supposed to be in.
So we've got the first house. So this house is all about like your self, your appearance and the way you come across and like your social mask and your individuality. So that's like, yeah, your ego, just who you sort of are as a person.
People always see it as soon as they meet you. Like if you have like your Mercury in the first house, you're probably like really, really forthcoming with communication and all of that type of stuff. If you have your Venus in the first house, you're probably like hopeless romantic.
So then we move on to the second house. So this is sort of to do with like money, material possessions, self-esteem, values, wealth, and like what you value basically.
Which makes sense because it's Taurus as well.
Yeah, the Taurus house.
Yeah.
So yeah, just your personal resources and possessions.
Do you have like any examples of someone's chart that you've looked at that's had a lot in the second?
One of my friends is an Aries, but she has her Mars in her second house, which makes so much fucking sense because she's such an ambitious bitch when it comes to money and like the workplace and everything like that. So like that sort of, you can sort of look at the chart and be like, okay, well, Mars represents like ambition and work and passion, and she's definitely fueled by money.
But see, Elise and I are quite different. I like to get people's charts that I don't know because I feel like I'm intruding on people's lives. Like I don't really like to do like, obviously I know your chart and my husband's chart, but like I can't like ask all my friends for their charts because I know that it's a really intrusive question and I know that they don't know that.
Yeah, they don't know that. See, that's what I like about it.
Because you're a little Scorpio.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, just give me a chart.
Yeah.
Like, it's totally fine. Like,
It's not that big a deal.
important. Yeah.
And you're like, okay, now I know like literally every trauma that you've ever had.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You don't know that I know that.
Yeah.
I know.
And you know what to push to find out more information if you need to.
Yeah, that's true.
So what I like to do is I send my husband out and he just gets birth times and he gets all of the information for birth charts for me, tells me a little bit about the person, then I look at the chart and then I like to do it like that.
Yeah, she does it with his work.
Yeah, so and they don't know about the podcast, so I can talk freely. But one of the girls he works with, she has her Saturn in her second house and her North Node. And looking like, and Saturn obviously is all to do with like boundaries and like limitations and all of that. And she comes from quite a wealthy family. So I think that her Saturn return will be really, really interesting to see how that money and like possession and all of that will affect her, because she's still living with her parents and like living that lifestyle, even though that lifestyle isn't her, you know. So I think she's gonna have a really interesting journey. And
yeah, I thought her chart was very interesting because I love to look at the second house, but then I also like to look at the 8th.
Yeah, and
because
she had her Mars in the 8th.
Yeah, she had a Mars in the 8th.
And everything else was in the 12th. So she just had a really interesting chart.
And wasn't she the one? Yeah, her Mars in the 8th and her North Node in the 8th?
She. Oh wait, did I get the North Node and South Node mixed up?
I think her South Node was yeah. So her South Node is in the 2nd. So it was really interesting to sort of see that and be like, oh, so like,
because we haven't talked about nodes.
So South Node is your past lives and what you've had to learn in those past lives, and your North Node is sort of what you're supposed to be learning in this life. So it's interesting that that was in the 2nd house, considering she comes from family money. And then the North Node is in the 8th, and as well as Mars. And I mean, we don't want to give too much away, but we know she has a little bit of a issue with
substances.
Yeah. She has a little bit of an issue with alcohol.
But, you know, we probably made it sound so much worse than they probably think she's like a meth head or something. And we're like, she drinks.
It's just alcohol.
She likes to drink wine.
Yeah. She likes to drink wine, guys. She has 2 glasses. It's wild.
Oh yeah, it's wild. As we say, as we're like sipping on our soft drink.
Yeah. Yeah, so that just made a little bit of sense because we were like, oh, maybe this, and this, because I think it was really interesting for me to look at her chart and be like, this is the first time I've ever seen someone with like
who's come from a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was so wild because like every little thing in her chart just referenced family money and like having a dilemma between like choosing money or like what you actually kind of want to do and like all of that. So I'm really interested to see what happens with her Saturn return. I think it'll be really interesting because like she'll probably like go freaking on a humanitarian mission or something. Like that's what I kind of
how
see.
Old is she?
96.
96.
So she's having a Jupiter return in the middle of this month. So that'll be interesting to
see how she goes. It's so wild that she doesn't even know.
Yeah, I know. Well, because then I was talking to Travis about it. I was like, oh my god, this, oh my god, this, oh my god, this, and he's just sitting there. He's like, because she was interested.
Oh,
so he's just like telling her all this shit, and she's like, oh, that's a lot to digest.
Yeah,
I was like,
just give me a second.
Yeah, I was like, oh yes, she's gonna have all of this conflict with money, and like, because it was even talking about her relationships with her parents and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just rattling it off, and I didn't realize Travis was just typing it away. I'm like, literally, she's going to think I'm a crazy person because she has no context for what I'm saying.
She's probably like, oh, this bitch is like a psychic or something and like whatever.
No, it's just pattern.
And we're just reading the stars, mate.
Yeah.
But anyways,
moving on to the 3rd house.
So the 3rd house, it's mostly to do with communication, siblings and neighbours, trips, transport, and your mind. So this is the Gemini house.
Yeah, I love it. And it's also like...
Of course you do. You're a Gemini moon. Continue. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, because I forgot to... Yeah, my Gemini moon is also in the second.
Is it?
Yeah,
Oh,
we were
that's right,
talking
we were
about that
talking
the
about
other day.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that I'm like a hugely financially motivated person. But when I see numbers go up in my bank account, I get awfully excited.
Yeah, I have nothing in my second house.
Yeah.
I just don't really give a shit about money,
Yeah.
honestly. But it doesn't mean there's nothing actually in my second house. But we'll go into that at another point in time.
But anyway, the
Find out.
third house, back to that.
The third house is first and foremost about communications and how a person listens, talks, and thinks. It's to do with our everyday life, our neighbours, siblings, things we do automatically, and short trips. It's about letters and books and how you say things, as well as why you say things. The sign on this house says a lot about how you sound when you speak, as does your Mercury. Fourth house is home and family, where you feel you belong.
And security.
Emotional foundations and being settled.
So if you know people that are like me and just like want to get married and have kids as soon as possible, they probably have a lot in the fourth. Like I have my Venus in the fourth, which just makes
That makes a lot of
a
sense.
lot
So
of
yeah,
sense.
that's your home, your family house.
Wanting security in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Hence why I got married at 19.
Well, I've got my my Neptune and my Uranus in the fourth. So not sure what that means, but interesting.
It says here that this house is quite important because without a place to stand emotionally, the personality cannot function. The planets in the fourth house reflect your family orientation and your ability to dig into the past in order to discover the roots of your beginning and how your father or mother was experienced. So it says it represents the father, but it says or a same-sex parent. So yeah, it would be my mum. The sign that relates is Cancer as well, which just makes
relevant.
Makes a lot of
It's the
sense.
Cancer house. Okay, now we're up to the fifth, while we're powering through these.
Oh yes, I don't have
Don't have anything in the fifth?
except for that stupid X thing that we don't know.
I have my Saturn in Pisces.
Oh, you got
In the
Pisces in the
fifth.
fifth. That's
Yeah.
cute. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love
I
that.
don't.
Yeah,
That's fine. Okay, so fifth house is all about romance, creativity, and kids. Fun, pregnancies, sex, flirting, and risk-taking. And also creation.
Yeah,
So
and like
that's
self-expression and stuff like that.
Yeah. Do you have anything in that chart, in the fifth?
No, I just have that stupid X.
Actually, this is a good question. If any astrologers are listening to this, what the heck is a part of fortune?
Yeah, we can't figure it out. We don't know whether
We've
it's the part of
Googled it.
fortune or whether it's Earth. But it's a circle with an X in it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have anything on time passages about it that we can find anyway.
Yeah, it's just there chilling. And like, I've asked people about it. I've asked my coven group thing, and they say it's the part of fortune. I'm like, okay, but why does no one talk about that?
Yeah, I feel like if it's there,
no
it
one
should be
references it. And I'm like, but even when you like get rid of all the asteroids and stuff in the chart,
it's always there.
it's still there. So I'm very confused.
Yeah.
No one talks about it. But anyways, so
this is the Leo house as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say the fifth house is the Leo vibes.
Which makes sense because it's like all self-expression and like me, and very much
What
like
I'm doing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't. Do you know many people with a lot in the fifth?
Not specifically, not that I can think of.
Yeah.
I have so much. So it's so weird looking at other people's charts because my chart is literally, I would say like 80 to 90% in the first 7th and 6th, and then like a few here and there. But like when I see someone with like one in every single house, I'm like, what?
What's that wrong?
What is that experience? I mean, it makes sense to me because so much shit is in my first and my 7th, and it's like, that's my internal battle constantly. Trying to be that independent single bitch, but then also love relationships. So, Yeah, Billy has all the murderers in her archives, and I have all my friends. Because I like to like
Oh, this
work backwards. I think I get the person, and I'm like, okay, I've known you my whole life, because most of my friends I've known my whole life. So I think that's why it's okay for me to like
judge them.
not judge
Oh.
them. No, but just like go, okay, well, I know what happened at this time, and I know what happened at this time because I was there for it, you know, and then I can sort of match that up and see.
Did
the
you say
patterns.
you had your Saturn in Pisces in the 5th?
Yeah.
Andre Chachki had his Saturn in Pisces in the 5th.
Which one is that?
He's the butcher. He's the one that went around murdering children in Ukraine and digging out their eyes.
Wow. We should get married.
Yeah.
Is he still in jail?
Oh no, he's dead. I think.
Oh, okay. Thank God.
And then Jacinta, the President of New Zealand, no, Prime Minister of New Zealand, she has her Neptune in the 5th.
Okay, cute. Okay, so moving on to the 6th. See, sometimes I get my 6th and my 7th mixed up for some reason.
See, because I always, whenever I look at charts, I feel like it's kind of like signs. Feel like I gravitate towards certain ones a lot more than others. Like, I'll really take note of what's in the 12th, the 10th, the 6th, the 4th, and the 1st. And the other ones in between I don't really look at as much, when I really should. I need to be more
I look too much at the 8th house.
Yeah, you love the 8th house. If anyone has
It's a love-hate relationship.
No, but if anyone has anything in the 8th house, you're like, oh no.
Yeah. Just like, are you okay? Yes, so we're up to the 6th house. So the 6th house is to do with just your daily activities. So your daily work, health, routines, being of service to others, and your job situation.
Yeah, because it matches up with the Virgo sign, which just makes 100% sense because that's all Virgos are about.
Literally, before I even knew about astrology, like I knew when I was getting into it, the one thing I was like is, why am I the opposite of myself? I don't understand it, but that's how my brain works. Like, and so figuring out that I was a Taurus and then also a Scorpio stellium makes so much sense because they're opposite. But also, before I knew what that was, I would sort of see like compatibility with your sun sign or whatever. And the compatibility was like Virgo. And for some reason, for the longest time, I was like, well, maybe that's the opposite to Taurus or something, because like Taurus is all like chill and stuff, where Virgo is like, let's do this, this, and this. Because I go through phases where I'm like chilling, and then the next day or whatever for the next 2 weeks, I'll be like Virgo mode, and I'll be like planning my day, planning my minute, like, you know.
Virgo moon is my favourite part of the moon cycle. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because you feel it.
No, like the Virgo moon hits different.
Yeah.
Like whenever there's a Virgo moon, is like that's the day that I decide, oh, I'm gonna do shit. And and you know what I like is it's not like I'll go to work at my really boring job and be like, oh my god, I feel so motivated to do this boring job. It's like, because I like, you have to do that anyway, whatever. But it's like usually when I come home, especially being like pregnant and having all of those symptoms, I usually just want to like lay down, go to sleep, pass out, not do anything. But whenever the moon's in Virgo, I'm like, no, I'm gonna study my astrology. I'm gonna take the dogs to the park. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And like, it never feels like I have to do something. It always just feels, I'm so motivated. I want to get shit done.
Yeah. So, especially when it's your side hustle, it's just like ticking the boxes, and you're like, yes, motivated, you know. But then like the moon left Virgo, and now I've got a lot of half finished pages.
Oh yeah, in my book. So I need like, I wish you could get Virgo energy in crystal. And
well, you can.
I just need it. Like, I need to bottle up. Maybe I should charge my crystals next Virgo full moon.
You should.
And see if I can just hold on to those vibes.
Just like hold it every day. Yeah. Like, give me Virgo vibes so I can get through the day.
Yeah. Also, for people that know a lot of stuff about crystals, I want to get your opinion on something. So you can get your breast milk made into a crystal.
Oh my god.
Oh, this was Elisa's reaction when I suggested, because I don't know a lot about crystals. But if it's not a real crystal, it's just
I think you can just get it crystallized.
Yeah,
It's not.
It's not going to be like a real. Obviously, they're not going to store it in the ground for 1,000 years and wait for it to turn into something.
I mean, you can.
They're just going to like probably put it in a mold.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
make it look like a crystal.
You know what that reminds me of?
What?
How you can make. Don't know if I want to put this in the podcast. How you can make bread from.
Oh, your vagina.
Yeah. Wow. So that's basically on the same lines. You know.
Yeah, they make beer now out of vagina use.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah. And then you use cum as face masks.
Oh,
revolutionary.
Yeah. Nice. I don't want that on my face.
Well, it's a great face mask. It really rejuvenates.
Is it? So I have a lot in my 6th house, which is like kind of annoying, but like makes a lot of sense. Because as I was saying before, that I always feel like I've had a lot of Virgo energy because I thought it was that opposite. But that's just also because I've got my Mars in Aries in the 6th.
Oh, that's such a vibe.
Yeah,
I like
literally. I'm just like, that makes so much sense. Like, just, yeah. And then I've got my Black Moon Lilith, and then I've got my Mercury in Taurus. So Billy's just in the toilet, so I'm here alone. So let's have a look at her 6th house. She's got her sun in Scorpio in the 6th.
See,
She's back.
yeah, he either kicks outwardly, and then if I move and like squish him and he feels annoyed, he'll just like if he gets pissed off, he just stomps on my bladder. It's like he knows. Like I'm dead set serious. Like when Travis was feeling like the other day and he was pushing a little too hard on it, he just flipped over and started kicking me in the bladder. That's why after Travis felt him kick, I had to run up and go to the bathroom.
So do you want to say anything about your 6th house?
Well, yeah. So I've got my sun and my Vista in the 6th house. I love.
Wait, show me your Vista. What does Vista look like again?
It's
Oh,
my
you're
favorite
the one that
symbol.
you love. Yeah.
I think the Vista symbol looks so nice. It just looks like a little fire.
What's the vortex one of the VX?
Oh,
Vertex.
mine's in Capricorn.
Yeah, mine's in the 6th as well. So that's the 6th house. So the first half of the houses.
Same as the zodiac.
Yes. So they are your personal placements. So your personal houses.
Mm-hmm.
So then we move on to communal places.
Mm-hmm.
So
these ones are more community focused because like how the 3rd house we were saying is like local community. It's still like the small for those that did debating. It's the first 6 is what you would get your first speaker to talk about, and the second one's the ones that the second speaker talks about.
Yeah. So it's more like So the first 6 is like how you, I guess, communicate in your own brain as well, like with the close people around you.
Yeah, a lot of internal people that you feel safe and secure with. Depends on your sign as well, how open you are. Like a Scorpio will probably only have those 3 or 4 people, whereas like a Leo will probably consider their whole neighborhood, their local,
their close friends.
Their inner circle.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and then the next 6 houses are to do with people,
big picture
community. Stuff. Sorry, your 7th house starts at your descendant.
Mm-hmm.
So your descendant is your interaction, awareness of others.
I don't know. I need a nap.
Me too. Can't function in this heat. Struggle. Okay. So the 7th house, which I seem to have literally all my fucking chart in. So what do you have in the 7th, Billy? I've got my sun in Taurus, my part of fortune, or whatever the fuck that is. What was the one that you love? Vista in Taurus as well. My South Node in Taurus, and my Venus in Gemini.
Yeah, I have a lot too. I have my Juno, my Black Moon Lilith, my Pluto, my Chiron, and my Mercury. And everything but my Mercury are in Sag, and my Mercury's in Scorpio still. So
your 7th house is about partnerships, business and personal, one-on-one relationships, marriage, alliances, and enemies.
So if someone has a lot in the 4th and the 7th, they're usually very family orientated. It's like a good basic level
and
vibe.
Relationship focused, I guess.
Yeah.
Or that, Yeah.
So question:
Yes.
If you saw someone with their Saturn in the 7th, would you be like, maybe coming there, Saturn returns, maybe they would have marital issues?
I mean, that is maybe the first thing that you would think about, because that's very literal.
Yeah.
Why do you have this?
No. I was just curious about.
Yeah.
things
See,
that-
I don't like.
I just want people with Saturn, with a Saturn place. No, I just want people, because I feel like that's one of the things that you need to prepare for the month.
Yes.
And
well, I think it might be some rude awakenings with relationships. It doesn't necessarily mean marriages. It could mean really close friendships. It could mean it's not just your significant other. It can be just really close people in your life. Yeah, you don't really know how until it happens, and so you can only prepare so much. And I think also, deep down, I think for yourself, if you have that placement, you might know your biggest struggles and what Saturn might bring for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think once you get there, you probably aren't surprised.
Yeah.
But, having said that, people shouldn't, freak out or anything like that.
Oh, yeah. I love the juxtaposition between me and being like, you need to be prepared. It's coming for you. And, I'm like the end of the world person with a sign running around naked, only wearing a sign screaming, it's the end of the world, Saturn's coming to get you. And then you're like, it's fine.
It's okay.
Just breathe through it and you'll be all
We've
good.
got the good cop, bad cop going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think even if you see a placement, often we see a placement and we're like, but we're just pessimistic or something. I don't know. I think it's easier sometimes to see the bad. Yeah, exactly. It's easier to see the bad than to see the good, and the bad's usually more dramatic. But every single sign, every single placement, every single house has a positive and it has a negative, and you've just got to.
No one's chart is bad.
Exactly.
Unless it's your own chart, then you always think that it's the worst chart in the world.
Unless it's my chart, and then you really don't want it.
Yeah. I'll trade. No, and so, because the 7th house is also tied to Libra, isn't it?
Yes, Libra.
Yeah, which makes
Libra
a lot
house.
of sense with the weight and the balance and all of that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely wanting the 7th house energy. And then moving on to the 8th house.
The 8th house.
At least
the
it's
one I
favourite
have
house.
nothing in, thank fuck, but it doesn't mean you get away with it, people. Okay, so the 8th.
What sign is in your 8th?
Nothing. Oh, Gemini.
Oh!
Gemini?
No, you have. Oh, no.
Yeah, no, it is Gemini.
Gemini and what?
What degree?
No, what else is in it? Or is it
Nothing.
just Gemini?
No, literally, that's what I mean. Nothing is in the 8th.
No. But you have your Venus in Gemini, so there must be another sign.
Oh, you mean what?
Yeah, I meant what other sign is it?
Is in Gemini.
Oh no, your whole thing is Gemini. Never mind, sorry.
Yeah, that's also my only placement with Gemini. It's my Venus.
Oh.
Does that mean my Venus is in the 8th? Bitch, does that mean my Venus is in the 8th?
Not.
Because it said, look where the yellow is. See, this is what I'm confused. Look where the yellow goes. So wouldn't that mean
Venus is in your 7th.
Okay, but
Don't
then
stress.
why is it in the yellow? Because that's the Venus area.
Because your
Venus. Not Venus, the Gemini.
Wait, let me hold it there. Because no, see where your Venus
0
is.
degrees.
No,
Is that 0? Is it 2?
No, yeah, it's 0. You're 0 degrees Venus in Gemini, so and your 8th house doesn't start until the 5th degree in Gemini. So you're safe.
I'm just in. Okay.
If you're born
We dodged a bullet.
you want to double check your birth time, make sure that you got the minutes right, because it wouldn't be, because that's 4 degrees. So and it changes. Wait, I've just got to do some quick maths.
Because I don't know my specific minute, so it's within. Mum always says 5:15, and then sometimes I put 5:13 in just because I like the number 13.
You want to make sure that your time's right. 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was 15 minutes.
Yeah, 15.
But no, I think I'm in the margin of 15 minutes because Mum always says 5:15, but I'm always like, I've done anything from 5:10 to 5:15.
Yeah, well, you'd still be safe because you've got 5 degrees, so that's 5 times 15, which is 75. So you've got 75 minutes. So you're all good.
Yeah. Okay. But anyways, the 8th house is birth, death, life's mysteries, rebirth, renewal, transformation, sex, and joint finances. And this is the Scorpio house. That's why I like it so much. That's why I hate it so much. Do you want to say anything about the 8th house? Do you have anything in your 8th?
I have my Mars
In Virgo.
Capricorn.
Oh no,
My Venus is in Virgo. Yeah, my Mars is
Capricorn.
I like having
beach.
Yeah, I like having my Mars in
Oh,
Capricorn in
you.
8th. I think that that's a good placement. And then I also have my vertex in Capricorn in 8th.
Just a side note, people who don't know what we're talking about when we talk about like vertex and I don't know, does Black
Palace
Lilith
and-
come up on the
I don't know. I have all of the asteroids and everything in my chart.
Yeah, so sometimes I change it depending on if I want to know more information, but
How hectic you want the lines to look and how many aspects you want to have.
yeah, you can go into time passages if you're using time passages and choose.
You should be using time passages.
Yes, we recommend.
For it, like if you want to know your chart.
Yeah, I recommend time passages for your chart. Not so much reading all the thingies because we've talked about it before that it's not specific because it just talks about.
It just talks about having Mars in the 8th house, and then it talks separately about like having Mars in Capricorn.
Yeah.
And so if those two things were completely different, it wouldn't
be relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit more confused. Yeah.
Like when I, for example, as we were talking about with my husband, reading Moon in Aries didn't make any real sense until we combined that information with the fact that it's in the 10th, which it doesn't do in the app. It writes them separately and doesn't do any combining.
Yeah.
That's why you need to pay a professional astrologer.
Yeah.
To
I mean, usually I like to read my chart or read the chart and write down what I think it means and everything. And then if I'm like, okay, well, I'm lost or I don't know what else I think about it or whatever, sometimes I might go into it and just like check the paragraph and see if I
relate to anything, because sometimes I'll read it and be like, I disagree.
Yeah.
Like, and which is fair enough because it's all your interpretation and stuff. And I think that it's really cool to like, I feel like everyone knows more about their, like, when other people talk to me about their charts, if they have a similar chart to me, I'm really able to be like, oh my god, I get that. But then it's like, if someone has something that I just don't know or understand, I'm like, I feel like I have to fall back onto what's written information.
Yeah.
And I think that it's always best to kind of get the information off of the person to help you study, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because the written stuff can be sometimes too generalized or not.
Okay, we're up to the 9th house. So the 9th house is the Sagittarius house. So this is to do with travel, study, and the great cosmic quest, broadening the mind, gaining perspective, and philosophy sometimes. Do you have anything in your 9th?
Yes, I have a lot in my 9th. I have my Uranus, my South Node, and my Neptune, all in my 9th house in Aquarius. And also, how can the nodes be in retrograde?
I don't know.
Because both my nodes are in retrograde. Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't really super talked about. Wow. I know words. We haven't really talked about retrograde too much. Mine are in retrograde too. Yeah, it's so good to study your own chart because that way you can just like, I don't know, you have like an inside scoop and you can go, okay, this means this means this. It's easy to do with yourself.
Because you know how you feel, and especially like if you've got a lot in like the 8th and the 12th and stuff, or you're talking to someone that has a lot in the 8th and the 12th, they're going to know what that means a lot more than you ever could by looking at them on the exterior. Unlike the planets, the moon's nodes are moving in retrograde most of the time. So they move backwards on their normal trajectory. Collectively, we've had Cancer as the North Node and Capricorn for the South Node for the last couple of years, pushing towards the growth in areas relating to femininity, feminine pursuits, and the releasing of ideas of needing to work around the clock to climb social ladder and providing work life while neglecting the home life. Interesting.
Interesting.
So yeah, we learn something new every day. So they relate to the moon.
Okay, so the 10th house is the Capricorn house. So your ambitions and your career, how you make your mark, goals, public life, and recognition.
See, I have nothing in the 10th.
So,
I'm going nowhere.
I also have nothing in the 10th. So that's why, as Billy was saying before, when we were hinting to the 10th house with
Yes.
Travis.
So he has his Aries moon in the 10th. And so, although he may not have a short temper or anything when he's, like, dealing with me, who's a mess, when he's,
or anyone else.
when he's at work, he's, like, very much, like, you either do it, like, if you don't do it how I need you to do it, or if you show me disrespect, or if you do any of this, I'm putting my foot down, I'm going to show, like, it's so weird talking
so
to,
weird to, like, know Travis and then
know him at work.
weird.
Like, because he'll tell me about things that he does at work. And
yeah,
I'm
and
just
I'm like, who are you?
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, that's a little, don't you think that was a little rude? Or don't you think, are you
a little bit short-tempered.
Yeah, I'm like, it's so not you. And then when we were at my gender reveal, he had people from his work there. And then I said, oh, yeah, he's an Aries moon. And we were kind of talking about that. And then she was like, oh, yeah, Travis has the shortest temper in the world. And I was like,
Wow.
I'm like, oh, wild. Also, with his Aries impulsiveness, he'll, like, make a career decision and then just be like, I'm going to focus on making that decision and not think about anything else and think about the big picture of it all. I'm just going to make that decision and do it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, at the moment, he wants to be in the army, and that's all he can think about and all that he can focus on. Last year, it was the police force. And the 10th house, I feel like, if you have someone with a lot in the 10th and the 2nd...
Wait, you can continue what you...
If you have someone with a lot of in the 10th and the 2nd, and, like, they're probably going to be someone that's very work-orientated, very ambitious, very career-orientated. They probably don't have much time for relationships because they're too busy focusing on themselves and getting what they need and all of that. So if you're a sugar baby looking for a sugar daddy, I would probably look for someone with a lot in the 10th, because they'll probably be so busy focusing on their career that they won't even notice that you're stealing their money.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I have a friend who has so much in Capricorn in the 10th. It's fucking ridiculous.
If you've got, like, your signs and your houses matching up, it's, like, just amplified it so much more because it's the Capricorn is where the Capricorn sign wants to be.
Yeah.
And then
that's where it lives.
Does she have Saturn in there?
No, she's got Saturn in her 12th and Pisces. Yeah, so if you have, say, for example, as we're talking about now, so the 10th house is the Capricorn house. Mm-hmm. So that's where Capricorn loves to be. Mm. It's itself there. It's like major boss bitch. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so that's like where it loves to be. So
I just realized now who you're talking about. And so she's got Pisces Saturn in the 12th.
Yeah,
and her Saturn returns so soon.
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
I know.
Is it in retrograde?
No.
Oh, thank fuck.
Thank God.
Oh, that's so cute. That makes me love her even more.
And her moon is in Scorpio in the 7th.
She's, like, literally the sweetest person in the world.
Literally.
She's so, like, comes off protective of you.
Sun, like, Sun's in Sagittarius in the 9th, which I don't understand the 9th yet, which makes sense because
you don't have anything in there.
And it's the Sagittarius one.
I really want to just understand Sagittarius because I feel like every single Sag is so different.
Literally. The Sag that I think about is, like, frolicking in the forest, like, I want to be free, I want to travel.
Then, like, the Sages that you see are, like, the most common charts that I see that are Sages are murderers. Or people, like,
Sagittarius moon.
Beck, I would not be like, oh yeah, she's a Sagittarius. Mm-hmm. I'd be like, she's a Scorpio bitch.
Yeah.
Even she's a Scorpio moon.
Scorpio Capstellium. But I was always so confused because she's Sagittarius sun, Scorpio moon, Aries rising, which I didn't understand for a while. But now I see her with people, I'm just like, oh, you are an Aries rising.
She's an entertainer.
She is. And
like,
she doesn't know it.
No, she's so good Like, because I've hung out when it's just, like, the three of us and stuff, and we have, like, a great time.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever there's, like, other people there, she's, like, the life of the party.
Exactly. And she always knows what to say. Like,
I'm the type of person where I'll make a joke and it won't land. And then I'll be awkward for the rest of the night. But her jokes hits.
Yeah.
Like, whenever she says anything, it always lands, and I'm just so jealous. No wonder she's so, like, because she's a boss bitch. Like,
she is a boss.
she's
Look at all that
she's
cap.
so. I just can't believe
So-
how ahead she is in her work life.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, she doesn't think she's ahead.
I think she's soaring.
But she just thrives on that shit, where if I was in that position, I'd be like, get me out!
Yeah. So, you know how I'm really, really impatient?
Yes.
So I sent her a photo, because, like, now that I'm 18 weeks and a few days.
Now that you're 18 years old, I'm
No,
like, you're
no,
older than that.
I can, like, look up what a baby looks like at that age, like, born. Not just, like, the little cartoons or, like, comparing it to a croissant.
Avocado.
Yeah. And so I sent Mum a photo of, like, what an 18-week-old fetus looks like.
Oh, God. Show me.
Little baby. So cute.
Oh, my God. It's like an alien.
It's
Ew,
adorable.
is that its skin?
Yeah, the skin's still transparent.
Ew.
At least that's my child.
No, it's not.
Well, that's what it
Well,
looks
I
like
mean,
right now.
It's not specifically your child, but
But I said to her, this is what it looks like right now. How wild. It's like waiting till your birthday to open a present, except if you open it too early, it dies. And then I said, so you have to wait. You can't open it early, but it's not too long, and you'll be able to open it, and it won't die. And then she says,
isn't that just the most Scorpio thing you've ever heard?
no, and then I'll continue.
Your poor mum.
Yeah, she's like, sometimes you just have to wait. Good things are worth the wait. Like, because she didn't want to call me a psychopath.
Yeah.
And then I said,
What's her moon again?
her moon is in the first house in Aquarius. I said, yeah, but it'd be so cute to hold its little hand. I said, I could not be a marsupial. I would play with them too much. Because you know how marsupials, the baby.
Such a weirdo.
You know how the marsupials grow in the pouch?
Yeah.
And you can, like,
You
see
can
them
see them,
growing,
yeah.
and they look like a little jelly bean.
Yeah.
When I was probably 5 or 6, I got fish. Killed them within a day because I
Watch them.
Oh no, I'd get them out of the tank and play with them. Did I hear another Scorpio story about my brother?
Oh, God.
So we lived on a horse farm, and one of the owners came out to look at his horse. And whenever you're around horses, you should always wear covered in shoes. He was wearing thongs. The horse came up, stepped on his foot, and he lost his toe. And my brother, when he was little, he always used to come up with the best puns.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, he didn't realise that they were hilarious. Hilarious or morbid, I'll leave it up to you. He grabbed the guy's toe, kept the toe, and then he put it in his truck and was driving around with the toe in the truck, and he said, look, it's my tow truck. And he was pretending, because the guy was going to take the toe to the hospital so then they could stitch it back on.
But he just took it.
But no, then he's like, oh, but Ryan's having so much fun with the toe. I'm just like,
What the fuck? Wow.
So that's what if anyone's having a Scorpio child, that's what
Look out.
what to expect. And then we had a horse that lost its eye, and he carried the lens of the eye around, and he would just carry around.
Ew, he's such a Scorpio.
With
That's
the
so
lens.
disturbing.
And he'd be like, it's my pet lens. I named him Little Ryan. And Ryan's his name. He also kept deer hearts in our fridge. He was really weird. He was such a Scorpio. You've met my brother.
I have. He was wearing a very loud outfit.
So many patterns.
Yeah.
He's 16. Still can't dress himself.
Yeah,
Properly.
definitely.
That's
I so wanted to say something, but because I was like, you know, when you're in that awkward situation where you're like, you know,
This
this
is your
person,
first encounter.
but you don't know them, but like you want to say something to make them like you, because I'm like, oh, this is Billy's brother, like, got to make her whole family love me, because her mum hates me.
She loves you. I told you that she said that she loves you. You just think that she hates you because you knew the gender of the baby before she did.
I know. So she secretly does hate me. She likes me, but she has that resentment there for me. If you're listening, Billy's mum, send me a text if you hate me. Or if you don't hate me, send me a text.
Well, she doesn't have your number.
Exactly. Okay, so let's move on.
Sorry, I got distracted.
That's right. We went on a rant, as we always do. So we're on to the 11th house. The 11th house is Aquarius, which I always forget about as well. So it's friends, social circles, groups and clubs, wishes and spiritual aspirations. It's about community.
Because you know what I think, you know how we struggle to understand like Aquarius and Sagittarius. I feel like it's because those are the last 6. So they're the ones that more focus on community, so it's not as individual to start off with, and we're like, because we're both wanting to know what the individual level is like.
Yeah, we're more
like,
on the individual level.
Yeah.
And also I think because I have, like, most of my placements are in the first house and the 7th, so I'm like, that's as far as I go with the... But you've got quite a bit in the 9th and other community houses.
Do I?
More than me.
I don't have anything in the 11th.
Oh, I've got my Chiron in Virgo in the 11th.
Oh, you've got Virgo in the 11th.
Yes.
Aquarius energy is all about, like, invention, benefits the community kind of type things. Like, they're the ones creating green energy and all of that type of stuff.
That's why it's very exciting, us coming into the age of Aquarius.
Oh, I'm so
Very
sorry.
soon.
We've got a few things going into Aquarius this December, don't we?
I'm not good with mundane astrology. You're the mundane lady.
I know, but I don't know what's going on. I
Something's
love,
going on.
like, mundane astrology excites me so much, but I don't remember things.
Yeah.
I've got, like, severe baby brain, so I don't remember what's going where at what times and all of that, which is just, like, so important for mundane astrology. But
I don't have baby brain. Mine's just a sieve. I always wonder if it's, like, trauma. Because I was always confused when, you know, people would go through a bunch of trauma and then they wouldn't remember. I'm like, how can you not remember? It's, like, hectic.
it's so traumatic.
Yeah, it's so traumatic. How do you not remember? And now I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, you don't remember half of the things that happened to you.
I don't remember the last 4 years of my life, honestly.
Yeah. Because, yeah, you don't even remember. Well, like, I'll be like, oh, remember that time you got robbed at knifepoint? You're like, what?
I'm like, oh,
That
yeah.
sounds like a crazy hectic thing that would happen to someone.
I just forget about it all the time, and then I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That did happen.
Yeah.
Lol.
You know, I feel like I went through that phase between, like, 13 and, like, still going.
It's still happening.
Every time I think that, like, I'm past trauma,
It
another thing happens. And then
again.
it somehow is always more traumatic than the last.
You think, oh, okay. It's been pretty bad. I think I'm out of the woods, you know?
Do you want to
You're
know?
not.
You want to know? So Travis was listening to a Kanye interview with Joe Rogan.
Why, Travis? It's disgusting. Why would you?
I love how you just looked at the sky.
Why?
So, and he was saying, well, Travis just listens to all Joe Rogan podcasts, but he was saying how he prayed or something that he didn't want to feel pain anymore, and like was trying to never feel pain again.
Kanye or
Kanye.
Yeah.
And then his mum died.
Oh.
And he said, and then he's like, you know, now I don't feel pain anymore. Because nothing hurts as much as because Kanye and his mum were really, really close.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I definitely feel that. Like, I feel like it's like if you have, like, a cut on your hand and then someone, like, and you have, like, a bruise on your knee, it's like you don't feel the bruise because you're, like, dealing with the cut on your hand kind of thing. So I feel like it's the same with, like, emotional trauma. Sometimes you'll just go through something so traumatic that, like, you getting robbed at knife point, like, wasn't a big deal.
Everyone was like, are you okay?
Yeah, like,
oh my god, do you need to go home?
Yeah, they were trying to send you home from work.
Yeah,
and
I
all
was like,
that shit.
fine.
Yeah, you're like, oh,
I've already forgotten about it.
like, can I just go get a coffee?
Yeah.
Like,
I was like, yes, I get to go to the police station and, like, not do work for a couple of hours, but then I stay back at work anyways.
yeah, so Elise literally took a traumatic experience. It was like, oh yeah, I get paid to go fill out a police report. That's fun.
Like, that sounds lit. Didn't want to be here anyway.
And she told the police that he was carrying a butter knife. And
yeah, it wasn't a butter knife,
no,
guys.
she was like, oh yeah, it was like only like a little butter knife. It wasn't even a big deal. And then they looked on the security cameras, and it was like a steak knife as long as your forearm. And
I think I was just like, I was more concentrated on the fact that
you had to give him money and open the cash
not
register.
really. It was more like I was looking at his face and like not wanting to look at the knife to be like, I know it's there. Like, I knew it was there, so I didn't need to look directly at it. But I think if I looked at the knife, I probably would have been a bit more freaked out.
And the guy was an idiot anyway, because he literally went and hit up every single store in like Elisa's like strip mall kind of thing. And like, if he just left the scene after he did the first robbery, he would have gotten away. But instead, he just kept on going next door and next door and next door. So the first
all the stores called us and all like came into, and they were like, "Hey, have you been hit yet?" And we're like, "Yep."
Yeah, and like the first store obviously would have called the police, so he already had his clock counting down. But he was like, "Nah." Well,
but I don't think he got much at the first couple of places. But apparently
he was robbering like bakeries and and organic stores and stuff, and no one pays by cash.
Yeah,
anymore.
literally.
Like he did it. Did he do it before Corona?
Yeah, it was before Corona.
Oh, okay. So some people were paying with cash. But...
yeah, but it wasn't a lot. But although I remember thinking that day, because usually it gets up to a certain amount, and then sometimes if it's a lot, we like
move it.
Yeah. But I remember just being like that day, oh, there's a lot of 50s there. Just a little bit more than like usual. And then, and it was so weird, like, side note, randomly going on a tangent, but it was so weird because literally the whole day I had been doing computer stuff, like, the whole day. And it was, like only 10 minutes before my lunch, and so I was like, I'm just going to, like, do a bit of a pull forward, like, you know, do something different. As soon, like, barely 5 minutes after I leave front, he's there. Like, I think I would have been more concerned
in the back if watching it happen
not even watching with someone else. Like, I mean, it's probably best that it happens to me and not anyone else, because I don't think anyone else would have been able to
you
just be as chill. But yeah, I mean, everyone was being like hating on him, and I was like, oh, you know, that's not good.
Hating on him.
Yeah, hating on him.
The criminal.
Yeah, but I was like, oh, like, I didn't feel threatened. Even though he had a knife, he didn't directly point it at me, and I think that's why I was like, whatevs.
You're like, oh, I've been in worse situations.
Yeah, literally. I was like, oh, okay. Like, I'm just like, dude, yeah, that's fine. Just let me get the money out for you.
You know, we should be saving all of these conversations for our next episode.
Yeah, I know. Oh, maybe I can edit it. Anyways, we're on to the last house.
The 12th house.
12th house, the Pisces house.
The house that scares the living shit out of me every day.
Scares the living shit out of me. So the 12th house is regeneration. It is self-sabotage, fear, your dreams, your inner self, secret, self-transcendence, meditation, and connection. So I like to call the 12th house the house of murky waters.
Oh, I like to call it the house of death.
That's the 8th house.
Yeah.
The 8th house is death. The 12th house is rebirth, but it's also the unknown, the underworld. So you're dead, and now you're in the 12th house. Just chilling.
So I have my Saturn and my Jupiter in retrograde in Taurus in the 12th house. So
Saturn and Jupiter.
Yeah. Both of like the two return things that fuck people over I've got in the 12th. And they're both in retrograde, so it just makes it even worse. And so I just have a theory that because my dad, his Saturn is in Taurus as well.
Should you be saying this on the podcast considering your mum listens to it?
I've already told my mum.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure my Saturn turn my dad's going to die. That's my theory. I think that's what's going to happen. I'm putting it out there into the universe.
Probably not.
Probably
you're manifesting it now. Yeah, well, I don't have any. I have Juno in Libra in my 12th.
Oh, you've got Libra in the 12th. That's kind of cool.
No, it's not. It's really not.
Yeah, the 12th house is the spooky house. Whenever I see someone with a lot of things in the 12th, I'm like, ooh.
I'm just like, how do you live?
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, there's some deep-rooted issues that I don't know about.
Yeah, literally.
So
the fact that I'm supposedly, and not by supposedly, that's a bad word, but we're not sure about the specific time of birth. But the person I'm seeing has a Gemini Mercury in the 12th. And let me just tell you.
No, it's not in Gemini, is it?
Well, it is.
Oh.
Exactly. So that's what I'm dealing with at the moment.
Yeah, no, I didn't really think about the effects of having Mercury in the 12th until I saw it in him.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, Mercury in the 12th people just don't know how to communicate. But no, they don't know. It's not that they don't know how to communicate. They just don't communicate.
Yeah, it's a lot of internal thoughts, but no actual... He's also got his Mars in Gemini in the 12th as well.
Interesting. I don't...
But who
see,
knows
Mars
about
isn't
that
really...
time?
Mars isn't really a placement that you see in the 12th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's more... I feel like it's more like the Saturn... Like, a lot of people have their Saturn in the 12th. I just see the Saturn in the 12th a lot. And Venus in the 12th house creates a lot of sexual frustration.
As we know by our serial killers.
Yeah. The 12th house is very interesting.
No. I'm glad I don't have anything in my 12th.
I'm actually kind of surprised you don't have anything in your 12th.
Me
You said you
too.
don't have anything in your 8th either.
No.
That's kind of I see you as like but I guess you're a Scorpio stellium, so
Yeah, and also I do have a lot in my 7th, which is like relation.
Just as we've said, I'm very pessimistic about the 12th house just because I'm scared of Saturn. So I just automatically assume the worst of the 12th house, but it can also represent like intuition. So like if someone has a lot of things in the 12th, it can also mean that they're very, very spiritual and stuff as well.
Definitely.
It's like Elise said, it's like after you die in the underworld. So it's like they can have good connections with like people that have passed and all of that type of stuff as well.
Yeah.
Obviously depending on what planetary bodies and stuff are in there as well.
Yes. So anyways, that was our house episode. Sorry if we were a little bit blah-de-blah.
Yeah, I feel like we need another coffee.
We definitely need another coffee with a few shots in there.
Yeah, and I won't get a few shots. I'll just have a single shot coffee.
She'll get a decaf.
Yeah, I'll get a decaf coffee, not trying to make my Aries baby any more caffeinated.
You really need to stop saying that it's Aries baby, because you don't want an Aries baby.
No, you can't say that. What if it is an Aries baby
Then
and
that's
this
fine.
is the podcast?
I
I just didn't realise how close I could be to having a Taurus baby.
I know, Taurus babies are the best.
But my psychic told me I won't go overdue, so I'm more committed to having an Aries or a Pisces. But it'd have to be quite a lot early to have a Pisces.
We'll find out.
We'll find out
On next episode.
Stay tuned to find out whether I have a Pisces, an Aries, or a Taurus.
Interesting. All right, well,
Or whether my impatience grows and I take the baby out.
This got way morbid real fast. That's what happens when you deal with
It
Scorpios.
is. I told you it was gonna get weird. It's Moon's in Scorpio.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week.
Next fortnight. We need to stop setting high expectations.
Next fortnight. We'll see you guys next fortnight. Hopefully, might be next month. Who knows? We'll see how it goes. We're spontaneous.
And may the stars be forever in your favour.